Okay, Jo and Lyndall from the Listening Project again. Wanting to do a big check-in with each other, with the community, and doing a little bit of a debrief about what we're noticing and how we're working with it. Let's start with a quick check-in from me. I am very stressed. I am dealing with cats bringing half-eaten rats into the house and homeschooling with 2 teenagers and all of the work stuff. There is a lot going on, a lot. I'm suddenly feeling like with all of this extra time and space, I still don't have enough time and space. A lot. What about you?
I am at this point in time, because it changes rather rapidly. So right now I'm actually feeling quite good. We opened the Russell Salon for hair and eyebrows this morning. So because the Russell Homeschool doesn't have any uniform requirements, we are allowed to have purple, blue and green hair in our house at the moment. So that's what we've been doing this morning. So it's actually just been nice. I had to make a concerted effort to stop and just hang out with my girl, because it's sometimes worse actually working from home and having your children here, because they're there but they're so far away, and vice versa. You're there but you're also a long way away. So, or preoccupied or focused on something else, or, you know, on the phone or whatever. So I'm, and on top of that, helping, you know, leaders of a number of different companies manage their situations in relation to staffing and redundancies and standing people down and difficult decisions and difficult communications and how all that happens. So there's a lot going on. It's stressful as well when I connect with it, but I'm staying with the hairdressing today.
Very wise.
I think so. I don't know that I'm that good at it, but...
Not a second career then for you?
No. Not thinking so, no.
The thing that I'm noticing with the working from home thing is that my relationship with my girls, which is a particular way of relating, and it's a particular voice and it's a particular, phrasing, and, it's so different from the way that I talk and speak and hold myself with my clients. Of course, it has to be. But it's very discombobulating when I then have to switch from one to the other, backwards, forwards. It takes a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, it does.
So tell me, so if you were to just looking at all of those things that you have to notice that are on your radar, what's the thing that's coming through most strongly in your work at the moment?
I guess I want to pop a rider on this, in that what I want to talk about, I just want to flag as a upcoming potential issue if we don't pay attention to it. Sometimes it's hard to talk about those things with people who aren't yet experiencing the difficulty, because it sounds so negative, or doomsday prepping at a psychological level, I suppose. But what's, I think, important is to understand that when people are incredibly anxious, and when prior to being incredibly anxious there was also already stress and tension and perhaps even some sort of relationship dysfunction, or family dysfunction, when we put those sorts of systems under extreme stress, the likely outcome is that there'll be some form of disruption. There'll be some form of eruption, some meltdowns, losing your shit, whatever terminology you need to use for that. We're noticing a sharp increase in people being unable to hold themselves together. And what often is happening is it's being triggered by something very, nothing in the here and now. I saw a post today about, the sauce bottle was put in the fridge shelf in the wrong place. So we're talking about, perhaps that level of provocation resulting in, all out screaming warfare between adults. And a side note around the fact that children are around more now when some of these adult conversations are taking place or adult arguments are taking place that perhaps they've been able to be protected from in the past. So there's a flow on in that direction. But what then is actually coming up are feelings that are very old feelings for us and very young feelings, like, am I loved? And is someone going to look after me? Or have I been abandoned? Am I doing the right thing? Have I let people down? Could I have made a different decision? That's what's actually underneath a lot of this stuff, and that's what's coming up. So if you can imagine in a family in isolation, without any of your normal coping strategies in place, like going to the gym or even going to work, getting out and going to work every day. For some people, it's a relief. Yeah. You don't have any of those normal coping strategies. So the incidence of arguing in the house is going to increase, which we need to kind of flag is potentially going to increase domestic violence as well, which potentially could be one of the biggest costs we pay out of this sort of scenario, because we're not just talking about a few people being stressed at the moment. It's everybody. It's everybody. Have you been to the supermarket? Have you had that feeling at the supermarket?
Yeah, I lined up this morning because I've been very noble in not going and doing the hoarding thing, which I'm saying being noble. That's never been my impulse, is to race and get supplies.
Yeah.
I'm sure I contract and grasp onto things in other ways, but we're not talking about that at the moment.
We'll come back to that.
So headed down this morning for the first time since all of this blew up, and suddenly realised, there's quite a strong need now for toilet paper, tissues. I've got 2 girls. I've got the puppy. I've got the cat bringing in dead rats. There's some basic cleaning supplies that I'm now really fundamentally short of.
Yeah.
So when I stood in the line, what I was noticing was that it was tense. There were a lot of people who were just sort of on that knife edge of, okay, I really am going to punch someone if they're in my 1.5 metre, distancing circle.
Yeah.
The security guards were rattled. There was just a strong sense of how fragile the social bonds that we have actually are. And in other ways, I'm seeing them so beautifully strong.
Yeah.
What's that Facebook group? Kindness.
The kindness.
Beautiful. Yeah. Kindness.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But yes, certainly there are lots of us experiencing the ground sort of feeling like it's not there. It's just not there, which does bring up my particular desire to want to get cranky with the girls. Go straight. Yeah, would love to go straight to blaming.
Yeah.
Straight to blaming when the cat put the rat in.
Whose fault was that?
Yeah, who bought this cat?
Oh, that far back, right?
Oh, yes. So, yeah, a lot.
So you can imagine, I had a meltdown the other day over, when I look back now, what I was asking for and the way that I went about asking for it, because I was stressed and I'd reached my limit with two very different things. And then I met my husband's very stressed, currently out of work, part of himself where he felt ashamed of not being able to work. And those two, my need to be cared for and his need not to feel his shame, collided, you know.
Yeah.
And we had to repair. And thankfully it blew quickly, but we repaired relatively quickly, which is good. And I think that's also part of what's going on, becoming more aware, recognising when I'm most likely to need to blow, I guess,
Right.
or how I manage it better when I do. So, but I guess my concern at the moment is to kind of make sure that we're not going into panic mode, but we're going into aware mode, or proactive. Let's get ahead of this a little bit and let's see if we can put some stuff in place. But I think before we can do any of that, we probably need to kind of take a breath and collect ourselves, and then we can decide where we go next from here, what sort of solutions we might have.
Yeah. So excellent point. Why don't we do that now? So why don't we walk the talk, model it. Let's just do a really quick 30-second, bringing ourselves back to breath, bringing ourselves back to stable ground, bringing ourselves back to equilibrium in the midst of all of this change. So if you're not driving a car, you may want to allow your eyes to fall closed and do nothing more than feel your sitting bones. If you're sitting in a chair, feel your sitting bones, feeling them resting down into the chair. Feel the weight of your spine resting down gently, vertebrae by vertebrae, into your pelvic bowl, which is supported by the chair, which is supported by the earth. And doing nothing more than simply bringing our awareness to our breath. Not trying to control it in any way. Simply noticing the breath, the sensations in the body. And then just very simply having that sense of being perhaps a little more deeply embodied, perhaps feeling there's a little more space, bringing the awareness back into the here and now, and opening your eyes as you feel ready to. And if you've got a little bit of red cordial somebody left on your office desk, you just sip it. That's very poor practice. Don't be telling anyone we did that.
No. That's got to stay between us. Oh, dear. So, love, here's what I'm thinking we all need to do.
Yeah.
I reckon we all need to self-appoint a, what are they called? A timeout zone.
Timeout zone.
Yeah. We all need, and this is before anything goes down. Like, we don't do this in the height of the battle because you're not going to remember it. So everyone needs to have identified a part of the house that they will go to if they need time out.
Right.
So that's a self-appointed timeout, not a family-appointed. You have to go to timeout. If you receive an instruction to go to timeout, you might like to consider whether there's grounds for you taking yourself there. But, let's not have an argument about timeout as well. But it's a space that you feel comfortable and safe to go to. And it's a place that you can use if you can get really good at noticing when you're starting to get a bit ramped up or a bit escalated, or your anxiety is getting a bit big for you. And you should have some sort of an idea about how that works for you. If you don't, that's your job to learn how your anxiety works. But if you do, then when you notice that you're starting to escalate, I'd like you to pop yourself into timeout. And while you're there, I reckon we've probably got a couple of options for things to do.
Yep.
First is that nice little mindfulness practice that Jo did just then, or something similar. You could use something like Insight Timer. That's a good meditation app. Smiling Mind, something along that sort of line. Or perhaps what you might like to do is phone a friend. You are allowed to phone a friend while in timeout. And it's like deal or no deal. So cross with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I do. So you can phone a friend, and you can use that for the purposes of venting, saying all the horrible things that you need to say to somebody else, working your way through what you're feeling, what's going on for you. I just really want to encourage people to sort of have an outcome, though. Like, don't just blindly rant for the sake of it and not know where you're going with it. You want to try and get to some sort of solution for yourself in that moment. So whether that's I let it go, or I go and have another conversation, or I write a letter, or whatever it is that you need to do. Or I do nothing more other than, settle myself down and pull my big girl pants up and head back out and have another crack. So, yeah, I think it's important. And also just keep in mind that there may need to be some repair done. There might need to be I'm sorry, I now know what I was trying to say. I know why I was upset, or I don't know, but I'm sorry that I hurt you, because we're most likely to hurt the people that we love at this point. And, if we learn anything out of this, I think it's that the people that are important to us should be kept precious, and we should spend time with them. So it just needs to be healthy time. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah.
Just know that it's going to happen, I guess, most likely, at some point.
Yeah, beautiful. So I've just made a list of all of that. Why don't we put that on the Facebook page so people have got their little cheat sheet?
Yep.
There, setting myself to a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a maximum number of times I'm allowed to do it in a day? Can I spend a lot of time in the timeout corner? Can it be near the mini bar?
Can it have a mini bar in timeout? Of course, if you're the first person to hear this instruction, then you have to go and get the best timeout that you can find. You take position number one, and everyone else for themselves.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Okay, let's do a checkout, because we're making these nice and brief and bite-sized. I'll start. I can't wait to go and find my timeout zone. It's great. It's a conversation I need to have with the girls. We are about to have potentially one other person living in the house. So, really good time to start to think proactively about how we manage our health and happiness moving forward. Again, it's Friday, and I feel like I am going to be able to sort of put a bow around this week and really enjoy the weekend, because it's time. It's time to have a really beautiful, relaxing weekend. And I feel like I've been working hard. That's me.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel I feel good, actually. It's nice to have a bit of a giggle. It's important to have a giggle. And I'm kind of loving seeing if I can expand the little moments with family that are really sweet, to kind of build up some sort of a reservoir of good for the moments when, mother from hell comes to town and decides that nothing's the way that she wants it. So yeah, so it's I'm kind of in a collection phase of good at the moment, which is a nice bit while it lasts, and still just enjoying having a chat with you, my friend. So thank you very much.
Anytime.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.